Hi everyone, meteorologist Chad Evans here on a Martin Luther King holiday today. And a cold one too. This daily weather forecast video is sponsored always by Trent Johnson State Farm. Trent is my agent.com. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. And we've got a lot of bitterly cold weather, dangerously cold weather ahead, and snow. We're entering a time of year that is, climatologically speaking, a time when we have our coldest temperatures. Now this is a map of the average timing of the coldest day of the year. And you can see this is our forecast area, and if we correlate it down here, it's between about January 15th generally and January the 25th. But what's interesting is when you really dig in a little closer, you find that north of Highway 18, the typical coldest day of the year is between January 21st and 25th. Once you get south of 18, it's just a little bit earlier when you average all the weather stations out. It's January 16th through the 20th. And then over our far northwest up towards Enos and Lake Village and Morocco, it is around the 13th to the 18th of January. So slight little difference from north to south, showing the climate zones that we typically experience in our area. Now you get out to the Pacific Northwest, and typically your coldest day of the year is in mid-December, believe it or not. And then once you get up here in parts of Vermont and New York, it's pretty late actually. It's towards early February when you get the coldest time of year. Now, I know a lot of my kids today have been saying, it's so boring, we don't know what to do, and it's so cold to be outside, and you kind of get some cabin fever when you get days like this, when it's this cold and it's this windy. And you get cabin fever when it's cloudy and it's rainy and it's dreary too. So I thought, well, okay, let's take how many days per year does it just rain most of the day, and it's dreary and it's completely overcast, other than just days that are brutally cold? And on average, here's our forecast area. Once you get to Lafayette, Fowler, Kentland, and all the way here to Pine Village, kind of where the Grand Prairie kind of comes into our western counties and a little bit into 12 Mile Prairie towards Clinton County, you typically have about 19 to 22 dreary days. Again, these are days that it's wet, rains most of the day, and it's completely cloudy. And then you get into this shading, it's 23 to 26 days for the rest of the area. So it's actually those prairie areas in the western part of our area and maybe far southern Clinton County that have the greatest or the least number of really dreary days. But no matter which way you look at it, we have the same amount of rainy, gloomy days as Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., like Newark, New Jersey, New York City, and the area with the least number would be, of course, out towards Phoenix and Tucson. That said, all right, so we got a little brief warm-up midweek. Then the brutal cold comes in. This is kind of a preview. If you subtract that one day it warms up, this is really the beginning of that first wave of big cold air coming in. We have 2 rounds of it coming. We've got one and then a brief lull and then another one late January, early February. Both may have snow with them as well. We had some snow last night, very early this morning. Totals varied from 0 at Rockville and Cayuga to 2/10 Attica, half an inch on the south side of Lafayette, 7/10 northeast side, 6/10 at Fowler, 1 inch up here at 12 Mile, 1.3 at Rochester, an inch up at Winnemac, and 1 inch of snow reported southeast of Kokomo. So dustings, coatings, highest was 1.3 inches, higher amounts in our northeast counties. And today, you know, the sun is out. We've had an interesting kind of situation where there's enough moisture and the temperature is just right to make snow here at ground level. Normally this layer, these kinds of temperatures, is farther up in the atmosphere. And when that layer is moist, you produce snow. We call that the snow growth zone. Well, that snow growth zone is right at the surface today. And what it's made is, you can see just kind of ice crystals falling, some of these ice crystal type clouds that look like smoke. And there have been some fine little crystally flurries coming down, even when the sun is trying to shine. That's a sign that that layer that makes snow, that snow growth zone with the perfect temperature and the perfect moisture is right at ground level. But now some drier air is coming in. This should tend to clear out today, and we'll have kind of mostly sunny skies gradually developing. But it's cold though. Look at this. Winds gusting last night to as high as 45 miles an hour in parts of the area. And a lot of numbers on this map, but this is the wind chill, that's the temperature. So Round Grove, it's 10. The wind chill currently is 12 below zero. 9 at the Purdue Airport, wind chill minus 11. The lowest wind chill is at the Galveston Airport right now, where the wind chill is 15 below zero. And up here at Mary Ann's Place, her wind chill is minus 4. The Kentland Airport has a minus 12 wind chill. So tonight we have one patch of clouds that comes through. This evening, late this evening into tonight, so the temperature will fall and then plateau. Once that patch of clouds pulls away, temperatures drop anywhere between about -2 and about 5 above zero. Then we cloud up tomorrow, see a few clouds tomorrow, but we cloud up late tomorrow, like tomorrow evening, and into tomorrow night. So tomorrow night will not be as cold. Temperatures will actually rise through the night. The coldest will be around 8 p.m., the warmest of the night towards around sunrise, and temperatures will be rising into the upper 20s. A wave of some snow showers will pass, mainly over the northern part of our area in the morning, and then a few little rain and snow showers possible elsewhere in the afternoon. There's been a question, hey, we're going to get some dustings out of this. Coatings. If we get a dusting or a coating, the best chance is our far northern areas or our far eastern areas, and then a secondary cold front comes through Thursday morning with a few snow showers. If there's a dusting, it'd be very localized. Then we watch the bigger weather story, other than the cold, right? The Clipper and the southern system right here. Storm forms here, we call that Lee cyclogenesis. Storm forming here on the lee side of the Rockies, dropping into Texas. Here comes the moisture. There's your Clipper. This is late in the week. Now, the big question is, and I've been talking about for a very long time, and even in the winter forecast, the timing of this cold and these couple of storms later in January, after the 15th is kind of that magic date. So if the Clipper and the southern storm don't phase or merge, we get a situation like this, where you get the southern system like that pulling away, and then we just get a Clipper and some snow. If they do phase, you get something like this, where you get a big winter storm. That could bring snow up here, and there's been some question with the track, maybe it moves a little farther north and brings a little ice in here. But this is a big winter storm that would bring if they phase. Then we got another scenario. So let's say they phase, and we got a big winter storm. What if, and I've seen this before, the Arctic air, the Arctic high, which is very strong, comes in too fast. Well, it's going to push the thing south. And the only thing we'll get is maybe a Clipper very early next week. My thought process here is that it seems likely that, like I said yesterday, we're going to get some snow out of this, whether it be next weekend or the very early start of next week from a Clipper. Or we get snow from the winter storm, like if the two phase. Doesn't matter what happens, I think we're going to get some snow out of it, whether it be from a storm or the Clipper. The timing is in question, and we don't know how much snow is going to fall. It all depends on the exact track of everything and whether they phase or not. That's the key here. So lots to take into account when we look at ensemble members, running the model over and over and over and seeing what it cranks out. 2 of the 20 members here have a winter storm for us. That is, 6 inches of snow or more, and the wind here, but it's only got 2 of the 20 members. That's fairly low, pretty low probability actually. When we look at just us getting snow, whether it be the weekend or the very early part of next week, whether it be from that storm or just a Clipper in general, it's 17 out of 20. So my thought here is we're still going to at least get some snow out of it, and we're certainly getting the cold. But when I look at analog data, past events, my SIPS analog out of St. Louis University, which is one bit of analog data I like to use, you'll notice here it's cranking out 2 to 5 inches of snow when you take the median of it. When we look at probability of 2 or more inches of snow via the St. Louis University SIPS analog, it's got pretty high probability, 50, 60, 70%. So not everything's agreeing here. So the analog says, yeah, we got a good chance of getting several inches of snow, but there's more uncertainty with the modeling on the phasing and the exact track and all. But there's the cold coming in though, regardless, the first big cold wave coming in, temperatures dropping below 0, but notice how it doesn't last very long. It does warm up. Then we get the second big wave, very end of January to early February. And remember, we may have a second storm here as well that may bring snow to the area. And it's a phasing situation again, because it's a good pattern for it. This cold may last a little bit longer and be a little bit stronger. That could be the coldest of the whole winter during that one. And we've got to watch a situation again like this. Clipper, southern storm, do they phase? Do they not phase? What's the exact track? Got to watch that with the second batch of cold air as well. So after tonight's bitterly cold night, 0 Greater Lafayette, we got a 23 tomorrow, but it's still going to be kind of blustery. So your wind chills, running anywhere from 7 to 15 in the afternoon. In the morning, they're still going to be about 10 to 20 below 0, with 19 to 26 for high temperatures, sunshine, some clouds, but clouding up in the evening though, and especially tomorrow night. A few scattered snow showers in the morning and into midday, especially north and east. A few rain and snow showers, giving way to a few snow showers afternoon and evening. Note the high of 39, then falling, but highs 33 in the north to 41 in the far south. Still wind chills 20s and 30s in the afternoon after being in the teens during the morning. So 25 Thursday and a few morning snow showers with the second cold front gives way to 20 Friday. So for next weekend, what I did here is I kept this at 40, generally about 40% with snow risk. I dropped the temperatures from the 20s to the teens, dropped the lows into the single digits, brought the brutally cold air in early to mid next week, and then look at that, by later next week, we go from perhaps being about 10 below, 12 below 0 to high of 20, and we could be in the 30s at the end of next week before we got to watch for more snow and eventually another round of bitterly cold air.